Hey everybody, here we are in Microeconomics Chapter 11, the APA homework. Question number 3, voluntary contributions towards a public good. So in this particular question, we've got a couple of people who are thinking about contributing towards the creation of a public park. So if they contribute $400 to a public park, they each get 60% of the benefit of that, of each dollar. So if you give $400 towards this public good, you get $240 worth of benefits, which is really cool. But everybody else that uses the park also gets $240 worth of benefits. That's different from when you purchase a private good. If you purchase a private good, you buy it because you get benefits equal to the cost of the good. In this case, it'd be $400 for a cell phone. Nobody else gets any benefit from that cell phone, only you. So you get the $400 and that's it on the cell phone. So if both of these people contribute to the park, for example, Raphael and Alex in this case, Raphael will get they each contribute $400. That means $800 total is contributed to the park. So Raphael gets the benefit from him and the benefit from Alex. So $240 a piece, or 0.6 times 8, which is $480. Alex gets the same benefits from the same spending. So he gets the same amount too. So if you add those up, $240 per $240 times 2, you get to $960 total from that $800 contribution. So the total contribution for public goods turns out to be, or total benefit from public goods turns out to be higher than the contribution because everybody using it gets benefits from that. That's different from the cell phone. So if one of these individuals buys a cell phone, they get $400 benefit from the cell phone. If the other individual then contributes to the park, our cell phone buyer gets $400 for the cell phone, plus they get $240 for the park. So they end up with, whatever that's up to, $640 worth of benefits doing it that way. So we've got this little table here that we had to complete. Okay, so if they both contribute to the park, that means they both get 60% of the $800, $400 a piece contributed. That's $960. If Raphael contributes, but Alex does not contribute, that means Alex gets $400. That was the cell phone benefit that he purchased, plus the $240 extra benefit because Raphael contributed to the park. Raphael gets $240 benefit from his contribution to the park. So that's $240 plus $240 plus $400 gets us to that $880. If neither of them contribute to the park, they both buy cell phones, they each get $400. So 400 times 2 is $800. So that's where that came from. So of the 4 cells in the table, which one gives the greatest combined benefits to both of them? And that, of course, is when they contribute to the public park. And that will be true as long as the benefit, actually, it's almost always true, in all honesty, because there's more than 2 people that are going to benefit from this park. So there's almost always going to be a greater benefit to everyone contributing to the public good. But now let's look at the incentive facing them individually, because this is where the problem comes in. So when they are truly thinking about the public good, the answer is easy. We want to both contribute to the park. But what are the individual benefits? So by the individual benefits, I mean, how do they do when one person contributes and the other person doesn't? So this table only looks at the individual benefits of Raphael down here. So if Raphael and Alex both contribute to the park, then we're at that, you get $240 benefit from your $400, $240 benefit from the other $400, and that gets you to $480 for the individual benefit. On the other hand, if Raphael contributes but Alex doesn't, then the only benefit he gets is the $240 from his contribution to the park. On the other hand, if Raphael does not contribute and Alex doesn't contribute, then the only benefit that Raphael gets is the $400 from the cell phone purchase. And then last, the best situation for Raphael is when he does not contribute, so he gets the $400 from the cell phone purchase, but Alex does contribute. So Raphael gets the $240 benefit from Alex's purchase at the park. So Raphael is best off if he does not contribute for the park, but Alex does contribute to the park. So right here. So Raphael maximizes his benefit by choosing not to contribute to the park. And in fact, he maximizes his benefit either way by not contributing to the park. So let's look at the next. I wanted to look up for a few minutes also at question number 5, common resources and the tragedy of the commons. So in this case, we've got some lumberjacks. They're working they're logging in a forest that is a common property resource. So none of them actually own the trees. The trees are a common property resource out there. So if you want to make money, you cut down trees. If there's only one person logging in the forest, then they may choose to log not intensively because they want the forest to last as long as possible. They're into sustainable development at that point because they want the forest to last, because they want it to be sustainable for them. On the other hand, if there's a bunch of people out there cutting trees, then the incentive becomes cut as much as you can, as quickly as you can, because if you don't cut the tree down, the person next to you is going to cut the tree down. So this is an example of a common property resource. The trees in the forest are not excludable. They don't belong to one individual person, and they are rival in consumption in the sense that if one person cuts that tree down, then other people can't. And if you don't cut it down, then somebody else will come and cut it down. So they're competing in that sense. So if there's a bunch of people out there in the forest, then the incentive is to log intensively no matter what the other folks are doing. Because if you leave your tree, the likelihood that it will be cut down eventually is very high. So the solution from the individual's person, if you're trying to maximize profit, the correct answer is to log as intensively as you can. So the question for us from the public side becomes, what can we do if what we want is a sustainable forest out there? So if regulations are very enforceable, we want to outlaw logging intensively. So we want to log sustainably. The other way to do this is to convert the forest to private property and allow the owner to sell logging rights, because then the owner has has the benefits that we talked about earlier, and that's that if they don't log that tree now, it will wait, and they can log that tree tomorrow. So the problem with common property resources is that you can't make that decision anymore. You can't save for the future. So in the world of logging, regulations may be fairly enforceable. And actually in the world of, I actually wrote regulations along this line when I worked for the National Marine Fisheries Service, because seafood is typically a common property resource. People they don't have a set of fish out there in the ocean that belong to them individually. And if they don't catch their fish, then the next person that comes along on the next fishing boat is likely to catch their fish. Regulations are a little bit tricky because we regulate things like boat size, net size, days of fishing allowable. We don't typically regulate the number of fish somebody can catch, which is another way to think about regulations. So it's kind of an interesting problem. It's a tricky problem, and it's one that we face on a fairly regular basis when we're talking about common property resources. Interesting questions. So let me know if this is useful, and I will see everybody later.